Let me now welcome our first guest speaker of the day, Maud Broeken. I hope everyone is okay with the sound, and I think there was a bit of echo, but I think it's fine now. And if ever, those who have my contact details can reach me on WhatsApp, or you can reach us by email if there's a problem, or you can just post a message in the chat and we'll answer. So thank you again all for being here for this Transzero Winter Summit 2025. So Maud Broeken, Maud, for those of you who didn't meet her earlier this year, she was in Padova Summer Summit, and everyone really liked her speech about artificial intelligence, and it's really an important topic. So we decided to invite her again, and you're gonna see she's really very inspiring. So Maud is a researcher at Hogeschool Utrecht in the Netherlands, and she's member of Transzero. Hogeschool Utrecht is member of Transzero for 15 years. She has a background in psychology and data science. She focuses on the development and adoption of artificial intelligence. And currently she's focusing on business transfers within Dutch SMEs, developing AI prototypes designed to empower business advisors in their daily work. Thanks, Maud. I think you're online, so the floor is yours.
Great, thank you very much. Can I try to share my screen?
Sure. Elise is going to stop sharing, and then I think you can start sharing yours. Thank you. Okay. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for your introduction. Well, hi, everyone. I'm going to make my screen a bit bigger. All right. Can you confirm that you can see my screen?
It's okay.
Great. Thank you. Well, welcome, everyone. As Marie already introduced me, my name is Maud Broeken, and indeed, I'm focusing on AI in business transfers for small and medium enterprises. As you already said, I'm a researcher at Hogeschool Utrecht, and my main goal is to focus on artificial intelligence and human beings that need to work with these kind of complicated tools. My goal for today is to bring you along on the AI transfers, what is happening right now, what is coming to us, to Europe, but also to you as professionals. And at the end, I would like to share some prototypes that we have been developing the last years, actually. And this was also thanks to Eddie. They helped us a lot by funding our prototypes, so we're really happy with that. Okay, let's start immediately, because artificial intelligence is a buzzword that everyone uses nowadays. And I would like first to be clear, what is it exactly? Some people think that AI is exactly that computers do what people do. Well, that is not really a good definition of artificial intelligence. I prefer to use this term. Basically, it is something that we can teach a machine to recognize patterns, to behave in a certain way, to think alike. And it's an interesting tool we can use in our daily life, but it's definitely not something that we can train to do exactly what human beings can do as well. Let's go into examples of AI, so we all know a bit what it means. I think some of you have a subscription on Netflix, and also when you open Netflix and you see some videos, usually you get a recommendation of, hey, if you've seen this video or if you've seen this series, you might also like this. So this is kind of a matching algorithm that looks into your personal preferences, and based on that, it advises you to see something else. A super basic model and a super basic example of AI. Another one that is a lot in the news lately is, of course, ChatGPT, Mistral, or DeepSeek. And there's many more, but those are kind of chatbots that we can use to talk to. And they give actually an answer to us. And later, I'll show you an example of how you could use this in your daily professional life. Also, a known industry is, of course, the car industry, with the Teslas that can drive autonomously. These are all kind of, these cars are trained with sensors to know when can they drive, how fast do they drive, and when should I brake. A last example is the speech recognition. A lot of people have this on their phones. You have Alexa or Siri, you can ask a question, and basically they reply back super fast. So the term AI might be a bit complicated, but I think in your daily life, you are already using a lot of AI. So let's see how we can do this in the professional life. If we look in the example of Netflix, the matching algorithm, you can also plot it more to the business transfer world. So in the business transfers, there's of course a company that wants to sell, but there's also buyers. So if you can see what the characteristics are of the seller and what the needs are, what they are good at in, what they are not so good at in, and you look at the same profile as a buyer, you can look at it as a dating site app. So when do we think that the seller and the buyer are a good match? And when do we think it's not such a good match? This is an example of a matching algorithm that you could apply in the business transfers. I have here another example of ChatGPT, and I hope this is going to work. So what I did here, I was like, okay, let's ask ChatGPT a question that helps me to write a teaser about the company. I used Transeo for this example, but don't worry, Transeo doesn't want to sell themselves. This is just an example. Don't put this in the news. But I was like, okay, what if Transeo wants to sell the company? Can ChatGPT start helping me to write a teaser? And the goal, if you ask these kind of questions, is that you are very specific in what you want exactly. So I'm not just asking, hey, write me a teaser, because then he can go everywhere. I'm very specific about it needs to be anonymous, describe what they do, don't give more than 300 words. And hey, you know what? I also give you some extra information. So this is the website. As you can see, it's just a click and ChatGPT gives me a story back. And it's actually not so bad. It really gives me already a good teaser that I could use to put on my website or to share with potential clients. Of course, if I want, I can ask now follow-up questions to make it more specific, or maybe change the language, make it more formal or more attractive, or maybe even in another language, maybe in French, for example. So it's a very easy tool to use nowadays in our daily lives. If you haven't used it yet, it's free to use. You just go to chatgpt.com or Mistral or DeepSeek, whatever you prefer, and you can start using it. Another example I have, it's another chatbot. Well, I don't want to go deeper into what the differences are. They basically work the same, but of course there are some differences because they are all competitors. But what I did here was I uploaded the annual report of Ajax, the football club of Amsterdam. And this report is like 300 pages long. And I can imagine in your daily life, you're quite busy, you're super busy, and you don't have the time to read through it. So what I did here is like, hey, can I ask you maybe some questions about the report? And as you can see, they always reply politely because they're trained like that. And then I asked like, okay, I quickly need the number of employees that work there. I would like to know the revenue of this year and the net profit loss. And well, I think in 1 minute, I got these results presented immediately. Also here, I asked further questions because I wanted to check if it's true. So I asked, okay, where did you find this information? It gave me the exact page number. I went through the page and it was indeed all true. So I'm not saying that those machines are truth tellers, but those machines are trained to help us finding the information as soon as possible. What is nice about this is that in our research department, we wanted to dive deeper into this. And because we work in the SME world, it's quite difficult to collect data that's organized, that is structured, which is quite important to train models. But why not using models that are already existing, and why don't apply them in the current business transfer world? So instead of training our own ChatGPT or developing our own ChatGPT, we use functionalities of these kind of machines that are already built, and we apply it in our own business transfer process. So one of the prototypes we built was Scanly, and what we wanted to do with Scanly is, if you have a business that wants to sell, a lot of potential buyers reply, but sometimes you know in advance already that those buyers are not serious buyers, or you can already know that they will not be able to buy the company. But this is a lot of manual work to find out. So what we did is we created a tool that can quickly search on the internet, what do we know about this potential buyer? What kind of information do we have? And can we then categorize it in kind of risk profiles? And risk profiles, we mean, hey, this is a buyer that we don't see a lot of risk, so let's meet them. Or this is quite a high risk potential buyer. Maybe you should look deeper into this, or the first time you meet, ask questions about that. So we try to give a bit more information about it. The second one was the onboarding bot, and I saw that Ben is also in this call. We did it together with Overnameadvies, which is also a business transfer company. And we were checking like, hey, when someone wants to sell their company, you kind of need already some information about in which stage are they? Are they really ready to sell already? Or are they exploring? Or are they just asking for some information? So what we did, we used kind of a ChatGPT tool to ask already questions that you would ask when they would call you for the first time saying, hey, I'm thinking about selling my company. How does it work? How much is my company worth? All these kind of questions. We used the chatbot to already collect some information. And based on their replies, you could already see to what extent they were ready to sell it. So is it a serious lead, or is it someone that's just exploring, gathering information and thinking about selling the company? The third one was an NDA, or a letter of intent writer. So instead of writing it all ourselves and filling in the dots, we developed a tool that filled it in for us. So we don't have to write this whole NDA. We don't have to fill in all the names because we already have it. The only thing we have to do is to read it once at the end to double check if everything is okay. It saved a lot of time because it takes time to write those kind of contracts, but by using AI, it writes it for you. You just have to check it, or your legal advisor needs to check it, and then you're ready to send it to the client. Another one was a due diligence tool that we have, and we are still working on this one, is okay, what if we have so many files? What if you have the annual report? What if you have all the contracts that are in the company? They are ready to sell. Can we develop an AI tool that helps us finding the red flags? And you can imagine that's a very complicated and complex assignment, but we were like, doesn't matter, let's dive into it and let's see if we can use the current models that are already built. Let's see to what extent they can help us reading all those documents. So I'm not saying the AI will do all the work for us. I'm saying, okay, we are doing our work, but can we have an AI tool that helps us checking the red flags as a kind of a quality control chatbot? There are things that it recognizes, but later in the presentation, I will show you that it cannot do it all by himself. You will always need a professional. You will always need an M&A advisor to really look into this. Another one was the intangible assets. So a business transfer is not only about financial value, it's also about non-financial assets. We started this year with looking if we can visualize the intangible assets. So less the financial reporting part, but more the value of the company, like to what extent do they investments in the employees? To what extent do they give trainings? To what extent do they really value the development of the employees? What is their selling point? How good is the selling point? To what extent is it valuable in the market nowadays? So it looks to different types of insights than the financial ones. And to make this all work, we are building a digital vault. It's not very different than a Dropbox environment that you, for example, know. But what we want to do is to make sure is that all the documents come to place at the same vault, in the same lock that you can have. And then we want to apply those AI tools, those AI techniques on these files. So in this vault, you can use the bot to write an NDA. In this vault, you can ask Scanly like, hey, is this a nice potential buyer? In this vault, you can check, is this a nice onboarding process, etc., etc. So we are making one platform where all those AI tools can be used, because otherwise you're continuously using different tools in different applications, and we notice that that's not very handy. So what does it really mean for AI professionals if you start using those kind of tools? Well, as you notice, it's not the challenge to gain insights. I can write a prompt, give me a SWOT analysis, and within seconds, they give me the information back. The insights are there, the information is there. We don't need to create more data, we don't need to create more information. What is for us very important is that we need to understand, what do we do with those insights? How do we put it in context? What does it mean to have the SWOT analysis? What does it mean for the actual seller? What should they do with it? And what does it mean for the seller? What do they do with it? And that is the juice that the advisor, the M&A advisor, needs to know. They already know this, but they have to spend way less time on gaining these insights, because the tools will help with that. So the challenge nowadays is to make the right decision with all the information we have, where AI can scan super fast through the documents, screen the data, gives you some red flags, write down a contract, etc., etc. Well, the advisor is of course there to build the relationships with the clients, knows how to negotiate, knows how to put this all in context, and understands more the emotional process in the deal making than the paperwork in this process. So what is very... Oh, sorry. Yeah?
Sorry to interrupt. You have 5 minutes left. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thanks. Perfect.
Thanks.
So what is very important when you're using these kind of AI tools is that you keep the human, and in this case the professional, always in the loop. So don't fully use only AI tools and think it will be all right, it will work. No, think about it critically. What is the output? What does it mean for this specific case? So it asks for your new way of working. And this is also what Carl said in the beginning. There's a digital revolution going on, and it means that you need to apply a new way of working. It doesn't mean your jobs will be taken over. That's impossible. Even with those AI models nowadays that are super intelligent, they will not be able to take over your job. But it asks for you a new way of working. Exactly the same way as the email was invented. We didn't write letters anymore. We sent each other short notes nowadays, a short email, super fast, immediately you have the answer, etc. The same with AI. It's not coming, it's already there. Now the question is, how should you use it? And you could use it as a right hand, or a co-pilot, as they write it here. So you can use it as a tool that helps you in your daily tasks. But it's still you that has to go to the client, that has to explain what is going on in this world. It's still you that needs to give this advice to your clients. And eventually, if you do this in the right way, you can learn from the AI, but the other way around as well. The AI still need to learn, they still need to understand what is good information, what is not good information. And that is the role where the human and AI start to work together. And the better they do this, the more value you get out of it, and the better you can do your own job. So, like I already said, it's not questioning like, should we work with AI or should we do something with this? It's more like there is a lot of data, those tools are there. It's just a question, how are we going to work with it? And if you have questions about this, feel free to reach out. I would love to look with you or have a session with you to discuss this. The only thing that's very important to know is you can only use AI if it's transparent, so you know why you make a certain decision, when you can explain it, when it's according to the law, especially in Europe, but of course everywhere in the world, and when you know that the AI is reliable, that you can trust it, because otherwise this will never work. This was my presentation. It was quite short and it's a big topic. I hope you liked it. And if you have any questions, please reach out to my email address over here. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much. Thank you, Maud. It was great. To keep up the timing, and maybe one question or one comment, but then I would like to keep up to the timing. So maybe one question, or is there one question from the audience? Then you can raise your hand on Teams. Otherwise, you have the contact details of Maud. She's really available. She's testing a lot of prototypes also, so she's open to discussion. So are there questions or comments? Otherwise, we shall continue. Thank you so much, Maud.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.